Hey, this is Pat from Glassfires. You're watching Beyond the Static. Check it out.
Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Static, the podcast introducing you to your next favorite band. I'm your host, Dwayne. Follow Beyond the Static on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok at Beyond the Static Podcast. You can also join our mailing list and have these episodes sent straight to your inbox. If you enjoy the show and feel gracious, you can also buy me a coffee. If not, a like or comment on YouTube is much appreciated. A 5-star review on any platform would be awesome because, in the words of my hero, Bomani Jones,
Still to give 4 stars out of 5, please. You are a hater.
Pat, welcome to Beyond the Static. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you. Being the first one to come through to reboot the whole situation. It's been a hot
Yeah,
minute since I've seen you.
I know it's been a long time.
Yeah,
Thanks for
dude.
having me, though.
Yeah, I was so excited when I saw that you were launching this new project. So, speaking of the new project, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, tell everybody, about the project and, all the things.
Well, most people know me as Pat Casale, but now my music name is kind of Glassfires. I don't know how that happened, but uh, I started writing songs, a couple of years ago, for my mental health. Honestly, I had to do something creative and it spiraled out of control into a full-blown album, and I recorded all the instruments myself. So it was pretty wild. I didn't think I would actually finish it, but I actually did. So it's been pretty cool though. It's been an experience.
Yeah, dude. So that's I was gonna ask, like, what made you go with a full length out the gate, like instead of like EPs or singles, like most
Uh
DJs.
that I really don't know. I just kind of started writing stuff, and then by the end of writing, I had like 10, 11 songs, and then it turned out to be 12. I could have probably trimmed it down, but I was feeling it, so I just decided to roll with it. Should I have cut some out? Maybe, but I like them all, so that's fine. That's kind of what it's all about, right?
Well, now that it's out and that you've got it done, like, do you still have that momentum going? Like, are you still just constantly writing, or is it like a situation where you're like, oh my God, like it's out, like I need a break from all of this?
Uh, I kind of took a little bit of a break. You know, uh, it's actually kind of more work trying to promote it than anything, like than writing. Writing was actually easier than trying to, keep up with the internet and all that. But I've kind of started writing stuff again, and I have to try and relearn all the songs again because they were recorded like a year and a half ago. So if I ever go to play them live, I need to show somebody how to play them. So I'm gonna have to relearn them myself.
So what would you be doing in the live situation? Because like I said, it's been when I was having personal interactions with you, you were playing drums.
Right. That's all everybody knows me as, honestly. I had this conversation when we were recording it. I had, Kevin from Sleeper Creek,
I'm not familiar. I don't, well, I might know the face
Kevin
if I see them.
Marcoux.
Who is it?
Well, Kevin Marcoux.
Not the name doesn't isn't ringing a bell.
Well, I met him through some other people. He's an engineer in Jersey, and I met up with him, and he became like the guy. He mixed the whole album, and he kind of helped me produce it, remotely. But for the drums, I wasn't about to do it by myself at home because I'm a drummer, so I should make sure the drums at least sound proper. So I had Kevin fly out to Colorado, and he tracked drums. He engineered the drums for me at a studio that I rented here. And while we were there, he was, we're outside hanging out for a few, and he's like, "Well, let me ask you something. If you played this live, what would you play? Would you drum, or would you, play guitar? Would you sing?" And I was like, "I don't really know." And so I think I've kind of come down to I would probably sing because it's weird when a band that you know, not that anybody knows who I am really, but band that you know has a new singer. You know, it sounds different than what it is on the album. So I would probably yeah, I'd probably sing. It'd be weird, but I would do it.
That'd be awesome. So these are your vocals that I'm hearing all over this album.
Yeah. Yep.
Dude, so why weren't you throwing some back end shit in there with our teeth?
I
Dude.
had never done it. I had never tried it before. After you know, after I had started, I had never sang before. You know, I had to like practice leading up to it. I recorded all the music and then I'm like, all right, well now I gotta learn how to sing. So I learned how to warm up and I felt like I could enough to get by. And then, it wound up being adequate, I think. Um, but then I showed Chris Sikora and he was like, why didn't you we could have been one of those bands with a singer drummer combination back in the early 2000s. I was like, I had no idea, dude. I If I would have known, I would have suggested it, but I didn't know. So
Personally, I think people overcomplicate the singer situations a lot and the vocal situations. Like I have people that around me, like anybody that really comes up and is like, "Oh, I'm a singer," and then they do like the over singing of things and like all of the runs and and people are like,
yeah,
"Oh, that guy can sing." I'm just like, he's not singing or she's not singing. Like that's that kind of stuff like drives me nuts. And it's like, dude, like you really just need, can you just hit the notes and do the melodies, please? So, and
right.
I think that a lot of people like overvalue or overcomplicate it. So I feel like more people can probably sing than really realize it.
Probably. Uh, I know notes. I don't know. I have no theory. I don't know theory about music. I just know what I like the sound of, and I was like, I think I could sing well enough to get by on this. I didn't want to make an instrumental, that can get kind of old, but I was like, let me go for it. I've already recorded every other instrument, most of which I don't really know how to play either. So I went for as, solid as I could. I wasn't trying to be like a Johnny Craig, somebody like that. That guy can do it. I can't do it. And I'm not even going to pretend that I can. Maybe not yet. Maybe one day I'll be that good, but I doubt it. I'm
I
still
mean,
just a drummer.
yeah, you just need to be you. Like the album sounds great. Like I'm
Thanks.
not, I can't hold you on that. The album sounds great and you did a great job. The production process was all you.
I demoed all the songs. Um, I sent them to Kevin, and he listened to them and, he gave me some ideas. It's basically it was all written by me and mostly produced, but Kevin, had his input. He would like, yo, change that. It doesn't sound right. Or, maybe if you tried this instead. And I'm like, oh yeah. I was like really open to ideas because, he does it for a living. I don't do it for a living. I'm just sitting here. And I feel like I was too close to the songs. You can get like where you don't even want to listen to the outside opinion. You're like, no, it's good the way it is. Shut up. But I had to make sure I was like, no, let's try what he said first. And if you really don't like it, then you don't have to do it. But yeah, I mean, mostly it was conceived in my head. A lot of the stuff was just riffs in my head, and I figured out how to play them on guitar as close as they were in my head. But yeah, for to answer your question, yeah, it was mostly produced by me and Kevin as well.
So was there like lyrically uh be honest, like I couldn't really like pick up on a lot of the lyrics. What lyrically, emotionally, was there like an overall theme? Because I know you said like it was like a mental health thing. Was there something in particular that you were trying to like get off your chest or get across, or just like life in general? Like what was the whole like backdrop of the album?
Well, I mean, I guess it started years ago. I had to go, I was in a really dark place in life, and I started going to a therapist, and the therapist goes, you should do something when you're, you're in a downward negative spiral. You should do something to like cancel it out almost. So she was like, what do you do creatively? I'm like, well, I used to play music because at this point I hadn't really played music in a while. Like I had fallen off. So I started playing music. So the lyrics are actually about the really, it was like a couple years span of a very dark time, and, you know, not wanting to live and, that voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, it's all sprinkled throughout the whole thing. In a way, it's a concept album. It's not readily apparent, most likely, but there are themes that reappear through the whole album. It's basically about, a really dark time in your life and trying to get through it. And you have to listen to the people around you. You can't just be in your head. Because I was like very isolated during this time. I was living by myself. I didn't see anybody. So the lyrics actually weren't written during that time, but they're just about that time. The songs were written, I had a real bad uh, episode where, I hated everything. So I started writing a song and I'm like, damn, this is cool. And I'm like, what was I so mad about? This is awesome. So it kind of like changed my mood. But then when I, finished demo and I'm like, okay, well, I need to write lyrics. So the lyrics are all about that time, you know, basically, in a nutshell.
Well, that kind of answered one of my questions because like I was like kind of curious what you were doing in between. I referenced the band With Our Teeth, the band you were in,
Yep.
um, you know, way back and now if you were doing anything like musically in between then and now. But
No, I honestly don't even know why I quit With Our Teeth. It was one of those things where, like, in my mind, it made sense. And then when I look back on it, I'm like, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? So, I've had to mend some bridges and because I just disappeared for a long time and I wasn't playing music. I thought I had a better idea of what I wanted in life, but I really had no clue. And it turns out music is what I really like to do more than anything. So to answer that question again, no, I didn't do anything for a long time. I didn't even unpack my drums for years. So
it's funny. I actually have a little anecdotal regret around With Our Teeth as well.
yeah,
Yeah, so when I had moved down to New Orleans for a while, I came back to visit and I was out at Skeeters. You remember Skeeters over in what is it? Blackwood?
yeah, I remember
And
that. Yeah,
and Chris was there.
of course he was.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'm just home. He was like, oh, you're home to play bass and With Our Teeth because like at the time didn't have a bassist. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna go back to and like looking back on it because I hadn't been playing music in a while either,
Right.
and like it was like a few years after like the Coastline had like disbanded and all of that, and you know, I don't know if you know, but like a couple years ago, I got as the same thing. Like my whole journey, like I took a downward spiral after that. And looking back on it, I was just like, damn. Like I ended up saying like fuck it and moving back to the area anyway. I was like, I should have just once Chris said that, I should have just been like, fuck it, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Right. Hindsight, man, you don't know. You don't I don't know if that was when that was part of the reason I quit. That was one of my like factors in my head. I'm like, we're just going through members, we're switching people out, and then we might play a show, and then somebody gets quits or gets kicked out, and then we have to start all over again. And I was just like tired of doing it. But in reality, I should have just stuck with it, and it's crappy. But yeah, I mean, hindsight's always a bitch. You look at it, you're like, man, I should have did that, but it's too late, and you can only move forward, really.
Yeah. Even though, you know, with it not being like, I know like a lot of people, like, well, a lot of us when we start out young, we have that dream of like being that full-time musician touring the world and all of that stuff and getting
Mhm.
paid to make albums. Um, and when that dream doesn't work out, I don't think that a lot of us take into consideration, well, I'll speak for me. Like I didn't take into consideration what just the act of creating and making music did for my confidence, my mental health, my like stability and
Right.
all of that because like even now like I played some music with some friends. Like we got together and jam like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like, and we're gonna play again like next week. And like, it's nothing that's like even like it's not something that's like any like we don't have like songs written or shows or anything like that. It's just some people getting together at this point. And we don't know where it's gonna go, but just knowing that that's gonna happen is like taking me from like here to here. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think that is?
I don't know. I think some people like that's just like what they're meant to do, whether it be a, like you said, touring the world and being in a full-time band, or whether it be just doing it because you love doing it. Essentially that's kind of where I'm at. Like I don't have any real plans to like ever play it at the moment, but would it be fun? Yeah. But I think what it is you just like when you don't play music, it almost leaves like a hole in you. You feel good because that's like what you enjoy doing and you're good at doing it. And when you don't do it, like there's just a void, and then that you end up in that dark spiral and you don't even know who you are, but you do. You're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like you play bass, man. You play music. You enjoy it. So do I. I do the same thing. But when you don't do it for a while, it doesn't feel right. You don't feel like you know. So I think that's why you're saying you feel at a different level because you're doing what you like doing. That's just my take on it. That's how I feel about it.
So when I started working on my EP a few years ago, I was also in therapy and there was in therapy called DBT and they always talked about a life worth living goal and my goal they one of the reasons why I wanted to do it and knowing that it probably wasn't gonna like get me a million streams or anything like that or anything big was just so I can be like, I did this. I did something
Right.
that I'm proud of and nobody could take that away from me.
Exactly.
Do you have that feeling now and what's that done for you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like I said before, I'm not anything more than a drummer, really, but I think I did pretty well at putting together an entire album of instruments that I don't really know how to play all that well. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that was the whole plan behind it. Like I was like, what, maybe I'll just write an album and I'll be proud that I wrote that album. And even if nobody ever hears it, I'll be stoked about it. And I am. Like even if nobody listened to it, I am stoked that I actually followed through with it and I did it. And I'm like, damn, that was all me. I did that. So yeah, I feel the same way. It's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting what it can do for you mentally.
Are there any thoughts on like expanding on the project as far as like doing like a couple of videos or anything like that?
Yeah, I have some of that like planned in the future. It's just hard because it's just me. So, and where I live, there's not a lot of people with similar music tastes either. So it's not exactly like I'm like, oh, let me throw a band together. Like if I lived in Jersey or Philly, I could round up a handful of people and be playing shows in a couple months, but I can't do that here. So yeah, I plan on doing a couple of videos and stuff like that. And I'm gonna do playthrough videos. So, if the day comes where I ever do try and play it live, I can send the videos to whoever, and you're like, here you go. This is what I wrote. So expand on that if you want.
Nice. How
But yeah,
how did you end up in Colorado anyway?
uh, it was part of that downward spiral. I for a while, I after I quit with our teeth, I moved to Pennsylvania, and that's where it got real dark. And it was just like not the place for me. I had like zero friends there. I was like completely alone. Um, and then I reconnected with somebody who we had like kind of grown up with, and she lived in Colorado, and I came out to visit, and I loved it. And it turns out that she's now my girlfriend. But yeah, I just loved it out here. I'd never seen a place like this before. Growing up in Jersey, or it's flat, houses everywhere. But then you come out here and you're like, what the hell is this? What is that mountain? It's July and it has snow on it. It's just crazy. Yeah, but I love it. I don't think I'll ever leave.
Nice. I've been to Denver to visit once. Like I've flown through Denver a few times and I've always been looking like, where are these mountains they're talking about? But then
Yeah.
like I remember like actually visiting a friend out there once and like driving like the first time like came over like a hill and saw one of the mountains. I was like, holy shit, that is a mountain.
Yeah,
like
that's legit.
like
Yeah.
the like that's not one of those rolling hills that we have in like when people
No.
talk about like the Appalachians and then like that, I was like, no, that's a fucking mountain.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like photos don't do it justice. You have to like see it in person to truly appreciate how crazy and huge they are. But yeah, Denver is like right outside the mountains. So, you know, you think Denver is like in the mountains, but all the mountains are pretty much to the west. It's basically Kansas up until Denver, and then once you leave Denver, it goes up.
Yeah. There was like you can see them from Denver like very clearly. And
Hmm.
it's like I remember we went to Pikes Peak, me and my friend, and it was crazy because like we were just up there chilling, nothing. And then like somebody comes in, they were like, get on the train now because if you don't, you might not be able to leave for a couple days. It was like, what the fuck? like,
Yeah.
it's like, what? It's like, yeah, snow's coming. We just found out. Get like, leave. like, oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
it can happen in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And it could be, dusting of snow, or it could be feet of snow.
Yeah. That
But
was, that was a crazy experience. But, yeah, getting back to the album.
right.
All right. Listen, I was listening to when I was listening. If I listened to the album without context, right,
Mhm.
I'd be like, damn, this boy loves him some thrice.
You know, I've actually had a kind of a battle deciding, people are like, who do you think you sound like? I'm like, I really don't know. I don't know. I don't hear it myself. I just know what I like. And other people have said that as well. So one day I went on, a post-hardcore thread uh page on Reddit, and I was like, check out my album. And for fans of like, you know, I had heard Thrice, I had heard Receiving End, I had heard Seosin, so I just put those in there.
That's
So
what I was
I'm like,
gonna
oh, for
say.
fans of, huh?
That's what I was gonna say. Like the one song, I was like, okay, we got a little Seosin going on there, and then like, yeah, yeah,
So I put that in like the subject of the post, and people are like, I don't hear that. And I'm like, don't shoot the messenger. I don't know what it sounds like. This is just what I'm told from other people who have listened to it. So okay, like okay, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but you're saying the same thing. So maybe it does. Maybe it was just that one opinion, which is fine. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion.
dude. To be honest with you, fuck Reddit. I
Oh
put
yeah.
I put one thing up on Reddit. I had this poll about emo bands, like kind of which one do you like? Like a contest of emo bands. Which one? Like it was like Brand New versus Take It Back Sunday, like Thursday versus like Census Fail or something like that. And I
Mhm.
just put the poll up, like, just pick a fucking band, right? Which one do you like better? And I'm like, this isn't emo, this isn't screamo. This is like, I was like, you know what? Fuck y'all. Like, just
Yeah,
pick a
yeah,
like, and everything was like, y'all are just on here being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian. Like, I can't deal with this platform. So
yeah.
ever since then, I've just been like, I don't care what what Reddit has to say about anything.
I don't really either. I was like, oh, maybe this is a way to get it in front of a few other people. And people are like, oh, I'll check it out. And then one person was like, I don't think it sounds like this. It's solid though, but I don't think it sounds like this. I'm like, well, okay, you could have just said it's solid. You didn't need to, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, the internet is full of opinions, and I don't really care what they say.
That's true. That's true. Well, what were some of your influence? I mean, I recall like I think when we met, like we did kind of bond over receiving end because for whatever reason, not enough people know about the receiving end of Sirens.
It's wild. Yeah, they don't. And that was actually what some people on Reddit said. They're like, wow, I can't believe you referenced receiving end. I want to check it out just because of that. Obviously, like there's older bands like Receiving End, Thrice, Seosin, Thursday, like they're all in there. But like I was reaching a point in that dark time where I was just like kind of over music, like nothing, I wasn't finding anything new that excited me. And then one day I just randomly stumbled upon Periphery. If you listen to them,
Um, a little bit. I'm familiar with them. I'm very familiar with them.
they like reignited like my love for music. It was wild because they're just like three crazy amazing guitarists. They don't even have a bass player at the moment anymore. The drummer is unreal, and the singer is probably one of the best singers I've ever seen live and recorded. But like that was like a huge influence, even though I don't think any of it shows. I can't play like them. I don't write like them. It's a completely different genre of music of what I'm doing. But that was like a huge influence, you know, on me at that time. So even though I don't think anybody will ever hear it, but yeah, I mean, that was that was my go-to at that time.
You
I
might
love that.
also like a band called Night Verses.
I do. I like them a lot. They're really cool. Although listening to them, it just makes me sad because I'm like, God, he is way too good at drums, man. I don't even I don't even understand how he is so good at drums. He is like a freak.
Do
But
you,
yeah, I do really like them.
do you all right. So it's funny because I was talking about some drummers, like some like underrated drummers last night. And do you like Alkaline Trio at all?
I never listened to them.
Because I
Never got into them.
yeah, like we were talking about like some punk drummers that are just like underrated. Yes, yesterday, me and my coworker, because of the genre itself and the simplicity of it. Like I think a lot of people miss like the some of the drumming going on in some of those bands.
Yeah, it sounds very straightforward, but it doesn't mean that they're not good. They're playing what their song requires. You know,
Right,
they can't be doing night versus stuff in a Rancid song, something like that.
right,
They're not
right,
gonna
right,
do
right, right.
wild fills and backflips, but they're all really good. But like you said, they're all kind of underrated too. I
It'd be
agree.
like Rainn Wilson in that song in that movie where he's playing with like kids.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well,
I
who
know.
are you listening to currently?
Currently, still a lot of Periphery. I like listen to a lot of everything. At this point, I kind of listen to. Sometimes I'll listen to like black metal. Very very briefly. I'll be like, I want to listen to black metal or like Black Dahlia Murder. You know, but then I'll listen to Thrice or Circa. I'm still very much that 2000s scene of music, and it'll never change. Yeah, I know. I saw it. I was gonna say something about. Yeah, I can never let that music go. That's always gonna be part of my life. I just try and find something new that to add to that collection of music. But yeah, I'm still stuck in 2008, something like that, which
Yeah,
is fun.
the album really made me kind of really nostalgic for that, to be honest with you. Um, and you know, there around 2012 is kind of when I stopped like finding new music, but I've been like kind of getting back into some things, and there have been some bands I realized as like because I kind of checked out and streaming services made it just like, all right, well, I'm just going to listen to the shit I always listen to. Like there
Yeah.
have been some things that I've missed out, and just being an adult and like not being able to just be like, I'm just going to a show because I have $8 and I don't need to pay rent, so fuck work tonight. You know?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'm with you. Like I'll find like something on Spotify that, they broke up like 10 years ago, but they were awesome. And I'm like, why am I just learning about this now? Like, so Spotify, it's terrible for artists, but it's good for finding things. They do put things in front of you that you might not ever listen to. And I'll listen to something and I'm like, I don't really love it. And then I'll move on. But yeah, I'm always looking for something new, but nothing, it's not as frequent as it used to be that something would jump out and be like, oh, I love this. You really have to listen to a lot of things before you find something that you love that's new nowadays.
True. And speaking of bands that broke up, if anybody knows where to find the EP for Another Day Late, it's called News Says Raining in New York. Let me know. I've been looking for that shit all over the place. It seems to be scrubbed from the internet. Um,
Yeah.
so
I'll look for it as well.
thank you. Well, it looks like we're kind of winding down, running a little low on time. I got that warning from the platform, but before we go, let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find the album, anything you think that we missed that you want the public to know.
The album's called Gemini. The band is Glassfires. I am the band. You can find it on all the streaming platforms. I have a website, glassfires.net, Bandcamp, Instagram, Facebook. You can find it anywhere. I try to cover all the bases, find it anywhere you can on the internet, because that's pretty much where it's going to live for the time being. But yeah, I mean, check it out if you like old 2000s post-hardcore emos, all that stuff.
Awesome. Pat, thank you so much for joining me here on Beyond the Static. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. It was awesome. It's fun.
Awesome.
Good getting to
Thanks.
catch up.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again for hanging out with me here on Beyond the Static. Remember, you can follow the podcast on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok at Beyond the Static Podcast. You can also join our mailing list and have these episodes sent straight to your inbox. If you enjoyed the show and feel gracious, you can buy me a coffee. If not, a like or comment on YouTube is much appreciated. 5-star review on any platform would be awesome. Because in the words of my hero, Bomani Jones,
You only give it 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater.
thanks again, guys. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. And remember, I appreciate you more than you will ever know.